they need to start working in bigger groups and establish lobbies, maybe as big as the Israeli lobby in the West, in Europe and in America, in order to achieve something. And this can be done if they do it on a larger scale, organized, having lobbies, big lobbies, doing it collectively, not individually. They will get somewhere, because the international feeling of how things they should go ahead would really be organized and geared towards what's right.
The massacres and pogroms Israel is carrying out against the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank are encouraged by some governments and international silence. Further, they are encouraged by some international media outlets that work to justify the Israeli occupation crimes using the same terms and concepts the Israeli occupation government officials used as a cover-up for their genocidal crimes. Despite that, the world public opinion, being fully aware of the Israeli genocide and ethnic cleansing crimes against the Palestinian people, it never stopped calling for ending this campaign against the Palestinian people. To talk more about that, I have with me international legal consultant, Mr. Rabah Abu Rmuz. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much, my friend, and
Mr. Rabah,
I'm happy to be here. And
you're welcome. You have just arrived from Britain, from the UK to the occupied Palestinian territories. If you tell us a little bit about the solidarity campaign in the UK and the public opinion, the people, activities to pressure their government, to place pressure on the Israeli occupation government to stop this genocidal campaign against all of the Palestinian people.
Yes, good evening again to all. Yes, it is true. I've just come back from the UK, where I did witness a great movement over there of solidarity with the Palestinian people.
Yes.
The awareness about what's actually happening in real terms, taking this apart from the diplomats and the politicians and the policies of the foreign offices in Europe and in the United States. We're talking about the real people, the actual people there, where solidarity is really great and still going on a big scale. Like I witnessed there, like demonstrations taking place in Europe every Saturday and Sunday non-stop. The awareness amongst the people is like they actually know exactly what's actually happening here about the genocide that Israel is committing. They know about the cover up for Israel by their diplomats and their governments, and that the foreign policies of the government are not right. They're not telling the people the truth, and that the people themselves, they really wanted to do something, and their governments are playing with them, trying to impose some threat about reducing arms to Israel sometimes, and or asking Israel to go easy on the civilians, in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Palestine, etc. But they know these are only games by their governments, to actually sedate them and get them to continue with life as normal. However, the people there are so great. They are actually consistent in their attitudes, standing by the Palestinian people, because they know what's happening now in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Palestine is unprecedented. This has never ever happened in history before. Hence their strong attitude, cultivating very strong actions, and this actually really is going, at the end of the day, collectively, eventually is going to amount on big pressure on their politicians and on their foreign policies to change their attitude.
Yes, Mr. Rabah, you said that the people there are very much interested and they are looking for the truth. And we know that the major media organizations in the West promoted the Israeli propaganda, if we go back a little bit to the start of the Israeli genocide campaign. Do you think that these media organizations, whether the media outlets or the mainstream media, are they still having the same mode supporting the Israeli propaganda despite the horror and the genocidal crimes that they see every day by Israel against the people here?
I remember when I was first here last time, I told you that when I went to the UK to study, and this John came to me and said, "Hi, how are you? Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Palestine." And his instant reply was, "Oh, you are the ones occupying Israel." And to me, this hit me greatly, like thinking about the media and the effect of the media there, spreading lies that we are the ones occupying Israel, not the other way around. Since then, of course, a lot has changed. I'm talking about the people here. And it got to a stage where the people are fully standing by Palestine. The media outlets like the BBC and other major media outlets have deliberately falsified the facts, hidden some facts if they were pro-Palestinian, and they exaggerated anything that is like pro-Israeli. They have not acted in an independent or in a fair way as media and the journalism should be. And this has affected the people in a great deal, even some maybe 800 recently, 800 officials who have been serving in European intelligence service and army, USA and Britain. They got together and they gave initially this advice to the leaders, stating that they cannot cover for Israel this much. Israel is actually committing genocide against the Palestinian people, and that they themselves in the future might be legally accountable and to be considered complicit in what's actually going on.
That is the question I have really for you, Mr. Rabah. We also, the ICG, the ICC, and the advisory opinion by the International Court of Justice blaming the governments that support the Israeli occupation government in its campaign against the Palestinians. Now, when it comes to media organizations and to individual journalists, is it possible for the Palestinians to file complaints against them and bring them before whether international justice or local justice, like British journalists in British courts?
This has to be tested in courts, because this has never been taken to courts before. And in my opinion, there's a great chance that these groups of people or outlets or individuals that they're going to be held accountable for their cover-up of what's happening there, and for the grave violations of international law that has been committed there. The transatlantic statement that I've just been talking about, a copy was passed to the BBC, and it says their administrations are at risk of being complicit. They're actually people who served in the Middle East, some of them for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, and they are of good official status, with their governments. And they themselves said it's one of the worst catastrophes of this century, and that what the Western countries are doing are actually covering up and increasing the total death of the Palestinian people because of their cover-up for Israel. Israel sees this as a green light to carry out more atrocities and more massacres against the Palestinian people, thinking that they're not going to be accountable for, because they've got this cover-up by certain major European Western countries and the USA.
Israel has always been turning a blind eye to the international justice and to the international law, and we all saw the advisory opinion of the ICJ calling on Israel to stop any measures that change the landscape of Palestine and to end its occupation for the Palestinian land. But we heard days ago the statement by the Israeli Minister of Finance, Smotrich, that 25 is going to be critical for their conclusive or decisive plan, annexation of large parts of the West Bank, and we see what they are doing in North Gaza. Do you think that the Palestinians have any card now when it comes to international justice to stop, thwart this Israeli plan?
I think there should be an awareness to be created amongst the highest level of officials in order to implement international law, knowing the facts. And rather than the BBC and other major outlets trying to talk about this Israel-Gaza war, it's not an Israeli-Gaza war. This is something that started in 1948, and they have to know the basis and the roots of this problem and to get it resolved properly. And the Israelis, since they started coming here, I mean, since the 1881 partition that took place here, which gave more land to like immigrants, Israeli immigrants, than the Palestinians, and gave them all the areas with the beaches and the shores like Jaffa and Tel Aviv and Nazareth and Haifa and Akkar and all of that. Since then, the Palestinians have been struggling in order to correct things. You see, it was unfortunate that there was a United Nations resolution for this partition, which was, of course, rejected by all the Arab countries at the time. And since then, since the establishment of the State of Israel, when Palestine was under British mandate, you know, they wanted. The Israelis wanted to transfer. They just wanted the land without the people. And they started this in 1948. This is when the Nakba has started. In a way, the actual real Nakba, when actually millions of Palestinians have been displaced and transferred to neighboring Arab countries, to Europe, to America, everywhere. And the second one, 1967 as well. But the actual hidden goal of the Zionist movement was from the beginning, since Ben Gurion started and established the State of Israel, was to get rid of all the Palestinians and have the land, empty land, for themselves. Netanyahu is recently started talking about this, referring to religious creed and to the Torah, and taking verses from the Torah, and that really they just wanted the land without the people. And they actually, in practice, doing this. All they wanted is for the people of the West Bank to be transferred and moved to, say, Jordan, and the people of Gaza to Egypt or to Sinai. And even the people, 460,000 Palestinians lived in 1948 area. They wanted 400,000 of them to be moved to Syria and Lebanon. So this is the actual real purpose of Zionism. It acts according to balance of powers and according to what the great powers wanted. Unfortunately, this is the right time for them to be able to exercise their hidden plans. Hence, Smotrich announcing that they wanted to annex the West Bank again. They wanted to start establishing settlements in Gaza and having full military occupation of the whole area. This is one of their plans. One of their other plans is actually to occupy Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, and the whole area. This is their Zionist move, and they have the right atmosphere with Trump coming.
Do you think that the international justice, the international judicial system, have any place now, or any space, to stop this colonial plan launched by the current Israeli government?
With intensified efforts, as I started when I first answered the question, only with intensified efforts from everybody that can be stopped. Otherwise, as I said, the international arena and the international atmosphere now is ripe for the Zionist movement to expand its plans and fulfill their goals, especially with Trump coming soon to power, And they are counting a lot on Trump being there.
We'll see how Trump also pegged his secretaries and the structure of his upcoming government, that they are a pro-the Zionist movement, they are against the rights of the Palestinian people. We heard the statements by the expected Secretary of Defense, the expected American ambassador to Israel. We are aware of the nature of the upcoming American government. Now, against this backdrop, what should the international solidarity movement, the supporters of the Palestinians' rights, those who believe in justice, what should they do in order to stop all that plan?
They just need to intensify the pressure, as I said. They just to need non-stop, not to stop this at all. They need to start working in bigger groups and establish lobbies, maybe as big as the Israeli lobby in the West, in Europe and in America, in order to achieve something. And this can be done if they do it on a larger scale, organized, having lobbies, big lobbies, doing it collectively, not individually. They will get somewhere, because the international feeling of how things they should go ahead would really be organized and geared towards what's right, and this can only happen by more, as we see now in the West, more historians are joining the Palestinian movement, economists, all sorts of people are seeing the unfairness of how their foreign policies are acting, and they are standing against it. The whistleblowers, from like months ago started sending letters to their leaders. And I'm talking about 800 officials who served in the Middle East, from Europe and the transatlantic and from USA. They all calling for the governments to change the policies, because to them, if their governments persist on supporting Israel blindly, and allowing them to kill more children and more women and more elderly people, and demolishing houses and destroying the lives of the Palestinian people, this is going to have a counter effect. And they have to actually know that this war has been there since 1948. It's not a war between Israel and Hamas. This war has been there even before Hamas was established in the 80s. And they need to know that this is happening in the West Bank. There are settlers who are burning Palestinian houses, killing Palestinians everywhere. There are resolutions that these settlements are illegal. They should, insist on implementing this and stopping these settlements from expanding. And because what's happening is, on the contrary, they are building more settlements now and allowing them, arming the settlers going with the protection of the Israeli army to kill and burn cars and to demolish houses all over Palestine. They need to know this and act accordingly, that this is the actual fact. It's not a thing between that started on the 7th of October. This is something that has started in 1948, and it's all the Palestinians are involved in this injustice, and it's nothing to do with like something happening to Hamas. Even the fighters now, they're from all sectors of society. And if Europe, France for example, when they were occupied by Hitler, they did establish a resistance movement, and they did actually fight for their country, and they were considered freedom fighters. Similarly in England, they started actually before, because some British cities were hit by Germany at the time, and they were considered a resistance movement, and they were considered heroes. They cannot, these people who are resisting occupation, and these people similar to Europeans who resisted the occupation of their country, they cannot be considered and labeled as terrorists by either like international media outlets or by politicians or anything. They have to actually give the right names for the right things for the right people. This is a resistance movement where people are permitted to actually resist occupation. And the problem here is occupation.
So we end our talk show with this statement that the Palestinians should not lose hope as long as we have the international solidarity movement, and as long as we have many people around the world supporting justice for the Palestinian people, supporting the right of the Palestinian people to freedom and independence. International legal consultant, Mr. Rabah Aburmuz, Palestinian, a British national. It has been a great honor having you on our program. Thank you.
The same here, my friend. And just one last word. They need to start understanding the mentality of the Palestinian people. These people are relentless. They never lose hope. They never give in. They never give up. And these people are going to carry on till the end, like anybody else, you know, who actually has been done injustice. So they're not going to stop until justice prevails.
For
And
sure.
if there was no justice, there's not going to be peace at all in the whole area.
For sure. Without justice, there is no peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. And from you, Osama Nazal, have a nice time.